Do you ever get overwhelmed by the rising cost of streaming services and cloud storage? I don't know about you, but I am sick and tired of copying all of my files onto thumb drives, only to lose those thumb drives in the drawer, never to be seen again. You know the drawer. You have one too, I'm sure. Everyone has one, right? It's not just me. Anyways, today on Tech Random, we're gonna be solving all those problems and so much more by building the ultimate budget home server. This home server will give you 20 terabytes of storage that you can access from anywhere in the world. You can host a media server for movies and TV shows without having to pay a subscription fee at all. It is entirely free once you get it set up. You'll also be able to host a gaming server for your friends if you play Minecraft or any games like that. It'll allow you to control your smart home devices like lights and other routines from anywhere in the world, and so much more. This thing is seriously cool and I cannot wait to show you guys. So let's get started. Before we dive too deep into this, I want to give a bit of an overview of the basics. So companies have been using network attached storage, also called NAS, for decades to securely share files between employees. Now, a NAS is basically a dedicated device connected to a network that holds multiple hard drives or SSDs, and all of that storage can be accessed by any user on the network. It basically eliminates the need to copy files over to a USB drive and then take that and plug it into a different computer if people want to share files between each other. A NAS is also useful because it can be used to securely back up data using RAID configurations, which basically means that files get stored across multiple drives. So if one of your drives gets corrupted somehow, all of the data on that drive is still safe. As storage becomes cheaper, home NAS devices are growing in popularity. But I'm not building a NAS today, I'm building a home server which takes things up a notch. The dedicated processing power of this home server is going to allow me to block ads network-wide, control my smart home, stream media, and host a virtual private network so my files can be accessed anywhere in the world, all at the same time. But before I can build any of that, I gotta get back to the office, so let's go. Now for this project, I'm gonna be using the Zima Blade single board computer. This was sent to me by Icewhale, but it is what I would have used for this project either way. You could totally use a Raspberry Pi instead, but I think this is just a better value. You may have heard of Icewhale before because they are the creators of the Zima board, which was hugely popular on Kickstarter and raised a ton of funding. And this is their newest product, the Zima Blade. It is cheaper, faster, and more power efficient, making it the best possible option for a home server. Now, this uses a 4-core Intel Celeron processor. This is their Apollo Lake model, and it's extremely fast and extremely power efficient. Let's check out the I/O. For connectivity, we have dual SATA ports as well as SATA power in the middle there. On the other side, we have a mini display port that can do 4K 60 Hertz. We have a 1 gigabit Ethernet port. We have USB 3.0, and we have a USB-C port that is just for power. And the most interesting thing about this mini board specifically is that it actually has a PCIe Gen 2 expansion port, and this will allow you to hook up a network adapter for 10 gigabit Ethernet. You could do more SATA ports here if you want more storage. You could even hook up a GPU, and your server, your home server, can run video games, or it can do like local AI processing if you want to do something like that. Now, I'm not going to be using this for this project, but I do have some really cool ideas for future expansion if I have the time or want to do something like that. So I think this is really cool. In addition to the Zima Blade itself, the 7700 kit that I got comes with a bunch of accessories, like this chassis that holds 2 hard drives and then has space up top for the Zima Blade. It comes with 16 gigabytes of DDR3 RAM. Not the fastest, but it's definitely plenty for a home server. It comes with this SATA Y cable, so you can plug in 2 hard drives and connect it to power and everything you need right there. A USB Type-C cable, this micro display or mini display to HDMI adapter, and an AC power cord that I am going to complain about. Now, this is my one complaint about the kit. This is a USB-C power adapter, but it only outputs 12 volts. Now, this is an issue because USB-C supports multiple voltages, and it does this using a resistor inside of the device that tells your adapter what voltage it needs. Just look at this laptop charger. It can output 5 volts, 9 volts, 12 volts, 15 volts, 18 volts, 20 volts, any voltage you possibly need that are all supported by the USB-C standard, so that if you plug this USB-C port into any device, it will not blow up. This thing only outputs 12 volts, 3 amps. It has this label saying do not charge any other device, because if you plug your phone into this, bad things will happen. You could rise up against tech companies ruining the USB-C standard for everyone by hitting the subscribe button below. For every like this video gets, I will personally send Icewhale an email telling them to do better. Okay, rant over, let's talk about hard drives. I was able to get 2 used, refurbished hard drives that are 10 terabytes for only $45 a piece, bringing my entire total for this project to $200 US, which I think is a steal. The best way to find used hard drives at a good price is to go to a used PC store or a PC repair store. They usually have some really good prices on these things. Otherwise, you can scour the internet and try to find a good deal, but you have to be very careful when buying used hard drives because they're at a very high risk of failure. So if you buy used hard drives, be sure to back up any data you already have. And of course, if you already have some of these lying around, definitely repurpose the ones you already have for a server like this before going out and buying anything new. This build is as easy as it gets. I'm just gonna pop this RAM stick right in, just like that, close it back up. That's gonna sit up top. One drive is gonna slide in to the bottom. That other drive is gonna slide into the top. That easy. And then we're gonna grab this guy. One of these plugs into the bottom here. Plug this one into the bottom. Click. Plug this one into the top, click, just like that. And then we have 2 ports here. Put one on the left and one on the right. This power one goes in the middle, obviously. And that's pretty much it, just like that. And we're good to go. We have ourselves a home server. On this other side, we're just gonna plug in power and Ethernet, and then this device will be available on the network. Now this is seriously all you need to get all the features I already talked about, and I'm going to show you in the rest of the video. But I wanted to make this just a little bit nicer since it's going to be sitting on my desk behind me. And I noticed a couple things, like it gets pretty hot, and I don't like the look of all these wires just kind of hanging out. So to make some upgrades, I'm going to be calling in this video's sponsor, JLC 3DP. Now, if you've been following the channel for a while, you know that I've been partnered with JLC PCB for this LED wall project where they helped me design and produce all of the custom circuit boards. But for this, I wanted to test out their 3D printing technology. So I designed this case to perfectly hold the ZimaBlade server in these slots here with lots of room for airflow, a little gap here for those cables connected to the HDDs, and then this spot here is going to hold a silent PC fan. And I thought it'd be really cool, since I'm designing this case anyways, to go ahead and add in a little window here where I can put a screen, and I'm going to be putting in a small touch screen that'll help me monitor system performance and thermals in real time without having to actually open up the server and have a window open on my computer. So that's that. So if we head over to jlc3dp.com, we can see that they offer a wide variety of materials, including full color now, which you could see you could even get printed in clear, which just looks insane. I am excited to test this out in the future. But for this project, I went with SLS nylon because it has a 147 degrees Celsius melting point, which makes it perfect for this server application where it's going to be dealing with a lot of heat that it has to dissipate. So my parts aren't going to warp at all. So that's going to be really good. It's also cheaper than this FDM ABS. So this is also pretty heat proof, up to 98 degrees Celsius, but I went with the nylon instead. It's really hard to print. My printer here could not do this. So using a service for a material like this is perfect. I don't know how to stop screen recording. Guys, I just checked the mail and JLC sent me this sample of their clear full color 3D printing. This was one print. I gotta try this out with one of my own designs in the next video. I don't know, let me know what you want to see 3D printed like this down below. JLC 3DP makes it super easy to get instant quotes on your parts, so I was able to optimize these prints to be cost effective. And these are extremely hard pieces to print because they're so thin and flat. If I had tried to print these on my printer, they would have warped in the corners and it would have come out terrible. So the quality of these prints is incredible. So if you have anything that you want to print, or if you want to print out this case, you can find all the links you need down in the description, including $60 worth of coupons that you can apply towards your order for either PCBs or 3D printed parts over at JLC. Check them out. Assembling the case is super simple. You can probably see I have some brass M2 inserts that I put in the bottom of both of these flat pieces here. These are going to be the sidewalls, and those are going to screw into this base here. You can see the cutout for the fan, which tells you which way to align each of these. So let's screw those in real quick. Up. Easy. And just like that, we have the sides on, and those are actually pretty stable for just 2 screws. This piece is going to be the back grill where air is going to come in, and this top hole is going to give us access to the I/O. Okay, that slots in just like that. Oh, that one's a bit of a tight fit too. Okay, there we go. And then this front grill slides in here, just like that. We have a spot in the front for this fan to go. And it's just going to slide in there, and it sits pretty snug in the base. This screen is just going to pop into the side here, just like that. Fits nice and snug. And of course, cannot forget the server itself. All right, all these cables go in the front facing towards the fan. All right, and there are a couple notches in the base for that to sit in. Maybe I should have put that in first, but mistakes were made. Okay, there we go. All right, we're in, and everything still fits. Get this fan cable in there. We're gonna plug this in later, don't worry. For now, it just fits in, and this goes on the top, the lid. Okay, there we go. Yeah, lid fits on just like that. And I don't know, I think it looks pretty awesome. I think that's pretty sick. You can comment down below if you think this design is shitty. I am obviously an electrical engineer and not a mechanical engineer or a designer by any means, but I'm pretty happy with how this turned out. All right, so now that the build is done, we can jump onto the computer and get our ZimaBlade set up, and I can show you all the cool software that I'm using. All right, the ZimaBlade comes pre-programmed with Casa OS. So once everything's plugged in, you just go to your browser, type in casaos.local, and you'll see a screen that looks a lot like this. Here you could see your storage and all your drives. Merge your storage however you want. Total, I have 18 terabytes of storage available, and I have used 423 gigabytes of that. And then down here you could see your apps. So here's the App Store, and then these are the apps that I've installed. But let's pop into the App Store here for a sec, and you can see there's just a massive list of apps. If you want a chat UI for an AI model, you can do that. You can do AdGuard if you want to block ads. I mean, there's just tons of stuff in here. I could spend hours talking about all the things available, but for now, I'm just going to go over the few that I have been using in the couple weeks that I've had the server set up. Starting with files, obviously files is going to come pre-installed, but here you can just, upload your files. It's just a local storage, and anything on your network can access these files. I also did a shared folder for my YouTube stuff, so that I can just access that in my file explorer on my PC or on my laptop here in Finder. So shared folders still work. Here in the media folder, I have just a bunch of movies and TV shows that we'll see later. That's the file system. So I guess now we'll just look at some of these apps that I have installed so you can see what you can do with them. So I guess we'll start with Plex. Imagine if Disney Plus was free and you did not have to sign your life away just to sign up for the service. That's basically what Plex is. There's all these movies and TV shows that you can just watch for free on here, which is really cool. But obviously the coolest part is you can upload your own library of movies and TV shows and just watch them anywhere. This server is always on, so anywhere you sign into your Plex account, you can basically stream from this server and watch your library of movies anywhere. And I think that's awesome. Basically incentivizes actually buying digital media rather than signing up for a subscription and renting your media for the duration of your subscription, when they can just get rid of your favorite show on there or anything like that, like we've seen with Netflix and The Office and so on. Basically, I highly recommend setting up a Plex media server and just ditching subscription services altogether. So next up is Home Assistant, and here you can see I have some different rooms set up, like my bedroom and my kitchen, where I have lights that are hooked up with WLED. And this is a really easy way to start getting into smart homes, but I don't have really anything crazy set up. In the future, I want to use Home Assistant to start doing routines like turning my lights on at certain times of the day. You can also hook up sensors to this. So like if you have a presence sensor in your room, you can have it set up so as soon as someone walks into the room, the lights turn on, and when they leave the room, the lights turn off. Stuff like that is really cool. You can also do scenes. So I could say, turn on my filming scene, and it'll turn on all the lights that I need for filming and my LED wall and everything. That's what I want to do with this in the future. For now, I can just turn my lights off and on. Someone in the kitchen is probably freaking out right now, but it's just cool to have all these controls in one place. So this is Pi-hole. Now this is a network-wide ad block, and you can see we have some total queries coming in, and of those queries, it's blocking anything that is on this ad list. So basically queries come in. If that query is for an ad, it just throws that query away and it doesn't serve it. Anything that is actually part of the website will still get through. So you'll see the web page and you won't see any ads. This is really cool because it's happening at the network level, which means that anything that I set to go through this DNS server will just not get ads. My phone, normally I don't have ad block on my phone like I do on my Google Chrome on my computer. So it's really cool in Safari on my phone just to not have ads anymore. It is worth noting though, I really wanted this to block YouTube TV ads, or like YouTube ads on my TV, and this cannot do that because those ads are served by youtube.com, and the only way to block those ads would be to block anything coming from youtube.com, which obviously just completely breaks the website. So if you want to block YouTube ads, this is not going to work. The only way to do that is with a local ad block in your web browser, such as uBlock Origin. That's the one I use on my desktop. Works really well. Unfortunately, I still don't have a good way to block ads on the TV, and the fact that YouTube has started doing like 90-second unskippable ads for TV viewers is really frustrating, but it's just something I have to live with for now until I find a way to get around it. And the last thing I want to talk about here is WireGuard. Now, I'm not going to open this because I don't want to dox any of the people who are on my VPN, but this is basically just a free VPN that can allow anyone you give access to access this server from anywhere in the world. So I used this before I had Plex set up so that I could watch movies from anywhere using just the file browser here, just to access my files from my phone or my laptop when I was out of the office. But I also use this to let my editor VPN into the server so that all the footage for editing these videos is available on this server here, so I don't have to pay for Google Drive or Dropbox or anything. It's just really cool to have a VPN that lets you access all of these features from anywhere. Also, I can sign into Home Assistant, so if I left my lights on or I'm on vacation, I can turn my lights on remotely and turn them off throughout the day so it looks like somebody's home. Just cool stuff like that. Like if I set up security cameras, I could access those security cameras using the VPN. A lot of really cool things that this lets you do, and it's completely free. I will mention though, you have to enable port forwarding on your router in order to get this working properly. And if you don't know anything about networking, I would not just dive into port forwarding because it is really complicated. And if you do it wrong, you are exposing your router to bad actors who can access your router from anywhere. So it's really important to keep in mind that you should do your research before enabling port forwarding and setting up a local VPN like WireGuard. But if you're willing to put in that work, I do highly recommend it. And that's going to pretty much wrap it up for what's happening here on the server side. The setup is really straightforward. The fact that this comes pre-installed and makes everything as easy as just clicking a few buttons to get set up is just phenomenal. I cannot overstate how easy this was to get started. I did take computer networking classes in college, and I promise you, I did not need any of that knowledge to do any of this. In fact, I was learning most of this on the fly, despite having all of that computer networking knowledge. So honestly, super easy setup, and I highly recommend this Zima Blade with Casa OS, or even a Raspberry Pi with Casa OS, to anyone who's just getting started and wants to set up their very first home router. With that said, we're going to jump into the final part of this that I'm really excited to show you guys because I think it kind of completes the overall home server. All right, now to wrap up this project, I want to take a look at this screen on the side. This is called the Crow Panel Pico, and it comes from Ella Crow. They sent this one to me for free, but it is the display that I wanted to use for this anyways, so I highly recommend it. It is a 4.3-inch touch screen. Now, I don't have the touch features enabled right now because I just kind of threw this together, but it's a fully hackable LCD LCD panel touch module, and it's using the Raspberry Pi 2040 chip. And they have a ton of example projects you can download that demonstrate the capabilities of this thing. And I'll leave a link down in the description to where you can find all of that. But for now, I just had my intern throw together the code for this GUI here. As you can see, it's displaying the current CPU utilization here, and then the current temperatures here. I have a fan in the front, which is keeping it nice and cool, as you can see. But down here at the bottom, you can see the current upload and download speeds in kilobytes per second. So this is like 35 megabytes right there, and 70 down. So this thing is chugging away, as you can see. I actually just started a file transfer, which is why it's ramping up. And you can see the heat kind of goes up a little bit. Usually it's hovering around like 35 C, but we're up to like 40 C right now. But yeah, overall really happy with how this came out. I think it looks great. And to get this data from the Zima Blade, I'm actually running a Python script that I programmed to run at startup. So whenever my Zima Blade launches, it starts up this Python script that sends everything to USB serial. And if I take the lid off here, you can see I have this USB cable that runs in there, and that is where all this data is coming from. Kind of funny. But, oh, looks like my file transfer finished, and we're back down to very low utilization. Very cool. As a final touch, I tried to add some RGB LEDs in here. Clearly that needs to be revisited, but I won't worry about that too much for now. Because I could not get the RGB LEDs to work at the same time as the display, so it was kind of like one or the other. Obviously I want the display over the RGB, but it would be nice in the future to figure out just why that wasn't working, and hopefully I can fix that down the line. Keep an eye on my GitHub page. I'll be sure to update the code there if I figure this out. But of course, RGB is completely optional. It does make the server run at least 10% faster to have the RGB enabled. You know, it is mostly cosmetic, other than obviously the speed performance improvements that RGB adds to any electronic device. All right, and that's gonna wrap it up for this one, guys. This is the easiest way to get started with your first home server. If you like the content, be sure to leave a like down below, and let me know in the comments what you thought of this build, or what you would do differently if this was your home server. Huge thank you to JLC for sponsoring this video once again. And if you guys want to check out how I built this awesome LED wall, be sure to check out that video too. See you guys in the next one.